Should Baldur's Gate 4 even happen at all without Larian Studios behind the wheel? Yo, what's good? It's Mistora. For this video, I wanted to give y'all my thoughts on a potential Baldur's Gate 4 and its uncertain future. Real quick, if you didn't already know, to essentially paraphrase, recently, Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro has come out and said that they're currently searching for a new dev to take on creating Baldur's Gate 4. This comes after Larian Studios' announcement that they're essentially done working on Baldur's Gate and are moving on to other new projects, which good for Larian because I, as well as many others, feel almost certain that the Hasbro layoffs left a bad taste in their mouth. Even if Larian hasn't officially said anything to that effect, most likely to keep things, just professional and cordial. With that said, however, I do think that there's a few studios such as Owlcat, creators of the Pathfinder games, Kingmaker, Wrath of the Righteous, legendary RPGs, In Exile, the team behind Wasteland 3 most recently, another great CRPG, and Obsidian, a studio with an insane games list that includes the likes of Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, The Outer Worlds, and many, many more that are great devs that, in my opinion, could produce a good Baldur's Gate 4 with track records similar to Larian. Even if, in my opinion, a Baldur's Gate 4 made by these studios would end up being not as amazing of a game as Baldur's Gate 3 is. Larian is simply the best RPG developer around to me, but I still would like to see the kind of Baldur's Gate game they could make, as like I said, I do think they're all great devs. If I consider BG3 a 10 out of 10 game, which I do, I see at best a Baldur's Gate 4 ending up being like an 8.5 or something like that, with someone besides Larian making it. Mostly due to one, BG3 being unparalleled in its reactivity to the choices you've made as a player, at least for a single game. Dragon Age does it very well, but it's across multiple games. This results in a large amount of choice to be had in terms of both your character, that you've crafted from their race, class, subclass, background, as well as stats, and the choices you've made throughout the story, with even seemingly insignificant choices in side quests ending up being a big deal way later on in the game. And two is presentation. Look, I know we like to say graphics don't matter for RPGs especially, but Baldur's Gate 3 is a beautiful game. It's not the most graphically impressive title out there, but for a CRPG, I feel like nothing comes close except for maybe Dragon Age Inquisition. And that has definitely helped with its high marks and legendary status because alongside all these other amazing elements, it just looks damn good. While yes, Owlcat's Pathfinder games have insane reactivity and Obsidian's RPGs look amazing, for BG3, Larian has it all in one unique package, but maybe with a bigger team comparable to what Larian has and the DNA of what makes Baldur's Gate 3 so special available right there to study from, as the game is already out and fully released for devs to really pick apart. They could get it done. That's why I picked these studios as my top prospects, and despite the odds stacked against them, I want to see them try. I would love nothing more than to be proven wrong though. I want a potential Baldur's Gate 4 to end up being a full and complete game that was made with love, care, and respect to the fans, just like what Larian has created. I'm doubtful it'll happen, almost entirely due to Hasbro, but like I said, I'd love to see it and be proven wrong. However, this could only even maybe, just maybe work if Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro make the right decision, which to be honest, I don't have a lot of faith in. And that's to have the same or similar arrangement with this new studio as they did with Larian for BG3. WotC did not publish BG3 through Larian. They weren't providing money to help them develop the game really, so that meant for the most part, Larian was free to develop the game how they wanted, and that's how we were presented with a masterpiece of an RPG. In Sven's own words, they were given, I believe it's called carte blanche, and I'm sure Hasbro saw some percentage of the profits in exchange for using the license or some other form of financial agreement, but BG3 was not made with the typical publishing format that a lot of other big profile games are developed with. And the same needs to be true. I cannot stress this enough. It needs to be true for Baldur's Gate 4. I'm talking no live service elements, no extra monetization. Just allow whatever studio you do partner up with, Hasbro and WotC, to produce the next Baldur's Gate game to just cook. Just allow them to just cook and let them whip up the best possible RPG they could possibly make while having access to the D&D property and Forgotten Realms setting. That's it. I'm not exaggerating when I say that an equal or greater successor to Baldur's Gate 3 simply is not possible if it's made with the kind of corporate micromanaging that sometimes comes when big corporations publish games through dev studios in an effort to maximize profits. It ain't gonna work. BG3 made buttloads of money because it wasn't forced. Just stay out of their way. Just stay out of their way and let them create a full and complete game for us to enjoy. Now, this begs the question of, would it be right for any dev that I mentioned, or any dev team at all really, to take on making the next Baldur's Gate game? Like, would it be right morally, given the recent Hasbro layoffs of over 1,000 employees? Many of those layoffs being people within Wizards of the Coast themselves. Specifically, the D&D team that assisted Larian with BG3 is almost entirely gone. And for that question, I unfortunately don't have a definitive answer. Of course, I couldn't blame any of these devs for wanting to stand in solidarity with Larian and refusing to work with Hasbro/WotC for just how scummy they've been in several regards lately. But at the same time, Dungeons and Dragons, and by extension, the Forgotten Realms, is near and dear to RPG lovers' hearts throughout the world, due to, of course, the tabletop RPG, but also in large part due to some of the D&D video games of the past, like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights, and Planescape Torment. And I'm sure many a dev at these studios just dream of working on a game within the setting, and I personally couldn't blame them for jumping at the chance. Hell, some devs might have played BG3 and seen the wonder and happiness it provided to RPG lovers, and they too want the same chance to provide that. So they might want to develop the next game for that reason alone, which is valid to me. Also, there's still plenty of passionate folk at Wizards of the Coast that truly love Dungeons and Dragons and want what's best for its fans, that have been against some of the poorly received corporate decisions, publicly might I add, that have been made lately. They didn't want the OGL to disappear. They didn't support D&D going heavier towards digital. So it's not like the people within WotC itself are all bad. Most of the issues to me seem to be at the upper executive level and in boardrooms, not the actual employees that make the magic happen. As for myself, as both a fan of Larian and Baldur's Gate 3, but also as someone who loves Dungeons and Dragons, even if I take issue with the corporation behind it currently, of course I'd love to see a Baldur's Gate 4 or some other expansion to the series be fully realized, even if I understand it may not be as good as BG3. But as for it being quote unquote, right, it really depends, in my opinion, on the dev, their reputation, and their reason for wanting to tackle it. So I'm kind of mixed, and of course, some of my own selfishness does come into play. I mean, come on, like, despite some of the shady stuff behind the scenes, it's hard not to get excited at the idea of more Baldur's Gate goodness. I mean, like, come on, I'm just human, right? As a fan of Larian since Divinity Original Sin 2 Early Access, however, I'm gonna be supporting whatever their next titles are. And of course, right, like, I love this studio, but for BG4, for Baldur's Gate 4, I do want it to at least be attempted, with the asterisk of it being given to one of the devs I mentioned, with a bunch of support thrown their way by WotC or some other RPG dev with a good reputation, and especially without any corporate meddling, just like Baldur's Gate 3 was made. But what about you? Is there a dev you would want to see take a crack at making Baldur's Gate 4, or would you prefer the series to just end here with Baldur's Gate 3? Or maybe you have some other opinion entirely. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Y'all be easy. Peace.